What is the best way to ride with a child? This is a question that almost everyone asks at some point when they're riding with a child. We're going to review the three main ways to ride with a child that I use all the time, ever since my kids were infants, actually. We have the back mount child seat for a bike, we have the front mount child seat, and we also have this guy, the bike trailer. And I'm going to talk about exactly the pros and cons for all of these and some really important things that you should consider before you decide how to ride with a child. So we're going to start with the back mount child seat and the front mount child seat. I have used this method for riding with both my kids at the same time. You don't have to do it at the same time. You can ride with one child at a time. That's actually a lot more easy to do. But then I discovered bike trailers many years later, and I'm going to talk about why I think bike trailers are actually the best option for riding with a child, but you might want to consider these first for some important reasons. So the back mount child seat is ideal for kids up to from 9 months old. You can start riding with them as soon as they can start sitting by themselves and they have enough neck and back structure muscles to hold themselves up. You can use a rear mount child seat from 9 months to basically until 5 or 6 years old. As when they turn 6 years old, it's going to start becoming maybe too small for them depending on their size, but it's really sturdy. It's a very good option for riding with a child, and I do recommend it in most cases over the front mount child seat, and I'll explain why. The front mount child seat is ideal for small kids, basically until they're about 3 years old. They can ride in this. You can tell that it's significantly smaller than the rear mount, and the main reason why I personally dislike using this most of the time is because if you're riding with the front mount on, you're pedaling and your knees will actually come up and hit the front mount child seat while you're pedaling, and so you kind of have to put your knees out to the side, which makes it significantly harder to pedal while you're riding, especially if you're going up hills and things like that. So the front mount child seat, for many people, many parents do like it because you can kind of keep them close to you and kind of cocooned within your arms, and it's a nice feeling to kind of engage with them. And it also comes with this little head pad here so they can rest on it. I mean, my daughter, when we're riding on this, she'll almost 100% of the time she'll put her head on it and fall asleep at some point. But generally speaking, I do recommend the rear mount child seat as opposed to the front because it's just a higher weight limit. A bigger child, from 9 months old, they can ride in it. It's not going to intrude on your pedaling experience. So overall, do I recommend a child seat for biking with kids? If you are doing short distance riding, like under 3 miles or something, if you're just going like a mile or a few miles to a destination, or if you're just going around the lake or on a bike path, or you're just doing an errand with the kids or something like that, then it's a really good option. It does get more challenging if you go on longer rides, like over 3 miles. The other nice thing about this option, this method, is that it's narrow. So you're basically able to ride on more narrow roads, even on the shoulder of a road or on narrow sidewalks, as opposed to the bike trail. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So if you're looking for an option just to easily get somewhere with your kids, this is a good option. One thing that is really important is that it is actually significantly more dangerous than riding with a bike trail, if that is an important consideration for you, because of the fact that you're riding with your child. If you crash for whatever reason, or your bike falls over, they will also be impacted by that crash more so than the bike trailer. What's happened to me a few times is I put my kids on it and then like a gust of wind or something happens where I just like lose focus for a second and they'll actually fall over and topple over with, fortunately you really have to have a helmet on with this option. It's just extremely more dangerous to not have a helmet. So that's happened a few times. They were fine, but if that's a consideration, safety, then I would opt out of this. But with that said, I mean, riding with kids generally is very safe if you know what you're doing. The last thing I'll mention about the child seat option is that the riding experience for you as the rider is a lot more difficult than with a bike trailer, meaning that you can't really pedal hard, or you can't really stand up and kind of throw the bike around and ride out of the saddle and stand up, because the weight is really heavy, top heavy because of the children. So it kind of makes it a little topple over. But with a bike trailer, you can stand up, you can throw the bike around, you can do whatever you want. So it's a lot easier to handle the bike when you're on a bike trailer. If you want to check out these specific child seats that I use, then I'm going to put some links in the description below to Amazon where you can check them out. So let's head over to the bike trailer itself. If this video is helpful, by the way, give it a thumbs up. It really does help more people find it. You know, this is the channel where we're talking about how to make biking part of your daily life, especially if you have kids, and that's really the mission that we're trying to accomplish here. So the bike trailer is really an excellent option if you have larger kids. Obviously, they can hold this particular bike trailer, the Schwinn Joyride, it can hold weight up to 100 pounds, which is really significant. And basically kids up to 7, 8 years old even can have them fit comfortably in there. This particular bike trailer is just fantastic. It just opens like that. There's no bike trailer that does that on the market except this one. It's got the sturdy bench style seat that's really comfortable with kids, lots of space for storage. This is not a review of this trailer, so if you want to see a full review of this one, check down below the link. I'll also put another link below for the top 5 bike trailers that I recommend, and I stack them up against lots of other popular options. But yeah, check that video as well after you watch this one. So the only thing I'll mention about this that makes it more challenging with riding with kids is obviously that it's wide, significantly wider than just the bike itself, which means you have to just ride around with it and kind of get used to the feel of having basically a trailer behind your bike. And it's wider, so it's definitely not safe to ride on the road, on the shoulder of the road. You only want to use a bike trailer on sidewalks or on bike paths or greenways. And if you're doing that, you're perfectly fine, perfectly safe, okay? And also another huge benefit of the bike trailer is that this one is a stroller convertible, which a lot of bike trailers are. You can convert it to an excellent stroller and just get around beautifully with the kids. The other main drawback of the bike trailer as opposed to the kids seats is that it's heavier. So this trailer itself is almost 40 pounds, just the trailer. So you have to basically get used to the idea of riding up hills and pulling that much amount of weight with you with the kids. But overall, if you're going to be doing short rides, like a mile, a few miles, then using a child seat is perfectly fine. If you're doing long rides, like more than 3 miles or 4 or 5 miles, then, yeah, 1 second, then it's so much better to have a bike trailer where you can pull and you can maneuver the bike, especially if you're going uphill. It's really a lot better experience for you as a rider, so that you can stand up out of the saddle and you can just throw the bike around and move it around. All right. The other important thing to mention about the bike trailer is that if you have an infant who's under 9 months old or even younger, 6 months, even an infant, a newborn can ride in a bike trailer if you use an infant insert, which they sell, and also a child car seat for the bike trailer. And I'll put a link, video down below that tells you exactly how to use the infant insert and the car seat for that method.